Agnosticism is a philosophical tenet, a philosophical view regarding a certain area of human knowledge or expertise. And it's basically the view that in this specific area, the evidence for different competing and also contradicting positions like atheism and theism is, for principal reasons, not conclusive. So we have good arguments for the existence of God, but we also have very good arguments for the non-existence of God, or that God does not exist. And for principal reasons that might have to do with the limitations of metaphysical thinking and the limitation of human capacities, intellectual capacities. Since we don't have clear test procedures like in the empirical sciences, where we can test a certain proposition by an empirical procedure, since we do not have this in questions like, does God exist? Does free will exist? Is there a soul? Is the mind identical to the body? Some people argue that we should refrain from judgment in these areas, especially in the area of the existence of God, because they are intellectually closed or cognitively closed to human knowledge. That is something that simply goes beyond the limitations of human knowledge, and so we should refrain from judgment. That is agnosticism. The good thing about, or the positive aspect of agnosticism is that it is a deeply philosophical attitude. As Socrates said, I know that I do not know. This self-reflective knowledge of my own limitations is deeply philosophical. On the other hand, it can be used to not engage in interesting philosophical adventures of ideas. So we as humans are in a way called to make certain decisions intellectually on how to view the world, whether we want to argue that there are objective values, or there is something like a mind that is not identical to the body, or that there is a God, or that there are other minds outside of us. We will never be able to provide conclusive proof for any of those theses. But in order to live a meaningful life and a reflected, critical life, as Socrates asked of us to live, we have to come up with answers to these questions and then lead our life according to these answers. If I have come to the belief that God exists, or it's likely that something like God exists, I might lead a somewhat different life than if I had come to a different conclusion. So to simply refrain from this is cutting short or undermining something which is deeply human and very important to lead an intellectually adventurous but also responsible life. We cannot refrain from everything just because we could possibly err. We could possibly be wrong. So there is this element of heroic just grasping I would say an heroism in arguing for something and making something a belief that leads my life, even though I know I can never fully prove that this belief is correct. Let's say the belief for the existence of other minds, that I believe that you have a conscious mind. There's no way for me to absolutely prove this, but this belief is very important for the way I lead my life. And so I should not simply refrain from making a judgment here. So agnosticism is, on the one hand, a deeply philosophical attitude, but it can be an easy way out. And it's our task to find a middle way between finding the right amount of self-critical agnosticism, not overestimating my own intellectual capabilities, and on the other hand, having the courage to build a philosophical worldview and live my life according to it.